you are a true original. If you make fun of Carrot Top for his props, you haven't seen him. You just haven't seen him do stand-up.
So it made sense why the props were there, but people were like, what what is all this shit? I'm like, it's for my act. And they just didn't understand until they saw the show. And then when the comedy club owner saw it that night, he goes, oh my God, this is brilliant. Every night Vegas is full of something.
Yeah, well, that's what's so unbelievable to me, that you've been able to compete with all that for that long. That's insane.
Yeah, it is insane.
Do you ever get nervous that it's like going to end?
Not until you just brought this up. Now I'm nervous.
Challenge your ideas and could be considered off-limits.
Scott Thompson, otherwise known as Carrot Top, to millions of adoring fans. And I always refer to you as a true original. That's what I have to say. So
Like
you call him
classic
Carrot
Coke.
Top. I call him a true original. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And we're just talking about how you probably have realistically 7 hours of material, maybe more.
Probably. You know,
right?
Going back to what you said about being an original thing, though, this is kind of interesting how when I got into comedy in '85,
Yeah.
that was the big deal when I worked clubs was being one, not, we talked about this last night, Jeff and I going home from work, was one, not taking other people's thing, because the comedy world's small, right?
Yeah.
And even smaller back then. I mean, now it's with the internet and
It was
but back
small.
then it was very small. In 1985, everyone knew everyone's jokes. So when I came on the scene, I was doing, my neighborhood crime watch, stole a crime watch sign and my bank tube, and I made all this stuff, and people would give me so much grief. But at the end of the night, I would say, you got to at least love me because I'm doing my own thing. Yes. Like, I'm not stealing. Everyone else was like, oh, this guy's lifting that. And I'm like, at least I'm doing my thing. Like, no one's going to carry around a rubber chicken and a tennis racket. They're not. So I had my own. So that part made me kind of like proud of myself that I had an original kind of concept. And even with prop comics like Gallagher, I tried everything in the world to do to this day, not to copy it. Could never be if it was even close to a Gallagher reference, kind of a takeoff spin, it wouldn't do it. It had to be a Carrot Top one.
Yeah.
And it's different because Gallagher's definitely was more, his was just, he could bounce on a couch and but I never did that kind of stuff. Right. Reptile would do like a shoehorn. It would be a shoe and a horn. That was always a pun. So I always, whenever I write a joke, it's like an invention. It's got to be something that you take apart. Like, I made one last night. It's a thermometer holder because, you have a rectal thermometer and an oral thermometer. So it's a little holder that goes on your counter. It's a baby, and the rectal thermometer goes in the ass, and the one goes in the mouth. So when you go to get one, you know which one you're getting. So it's kind of, it's not a pun, and it's definitely the creepiest part was drilling up into the doll's butt to put the thermometer in it. But that's what I did last night before I came here.
That's what you do for a living.
That's what I do for a living.
The thing that you can look back on is that no one ever watches you and says, that's just like...
Right. Well,
and that's huge. That's why the first time I ever met you in Cole's gym, I just said hi because I was like, I wanted you to... It's like, you are a true original. That's such a difficult thing to do.
See, most people just thought, met him at a gym.
Yeah.
Bitch, look at this.
We were and I'm not...
Everyone worked out there, right? It was the craziest thing.
Oh, the Gold's Gym in Venice.
Venice Beach.
The Rock. John Cena. I remember I asked John Cena questions about, this is the weirdest... I was like, I need to get some shorts. And he was so big. And I remember his wrists.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I asking this giant man about shorts? He goes, I can't find them because my quads are so big. I was like, well, I
had
don't
the same
have
problem
that.
with socks. Yeah. But his that gym was so incredibly, like, everyone was famous, right? So you just looked around.
Dennis Hopper. Mickey Rourke.
I got to tell you the
Ray
one. I have a great one about that one. I'm on a press. It's probably still in the same gutting sort of the gym, and it locks in, so you don't have the Smith machine, right? So you don't have to have a spotter. I don't have friends, so I can't have a spotters, right? I worked up myself, so I would just do my thing and put the what I wanted to do. And this guy one day just comes right over me. He's like, let's go, 6 more. And I'm like, I'm looking up and I'm like, I'm good. And he's like, let's go. And I'm like, I'm good. And all of a sudden I'm trying to push, 6 more up. And his forehead was dripping on my, I swear to God, on my face. So I'm like it's hitting here and here, and I'm moving back. I look up and it's
Hopper.
no, it's the what's
Ray Liotta?
No, hold on. They all worked out there. From The Godfather.
Robert Duvall.
Oh
Oh no, James Caan.
James Caan.
Oh,
and I
James
look up and I'm
Caan.
like, James Caan is like dripping sweat on me. And it was just the weirdest thing. I'm like, thank you, I'm good. And he's like, I was good, man. I'm like, I got James Caan.
And he knew who you were,
sweat.
obviously.
I don't know if he knew who I was. He was just like, let's go.
Dude, I worked with James Caan on Las Vegas.
They mentioned him in that show a couple times. I mean, he might have known who I was. You know?
We had this scene where he comes in and has to beat me up, and he kept taking his fingers and jabbing them right here to turn me. And I was like, I go, dude, I finally, and he was actually getting real rough. He wanted to make it look real, but I'm way too macho.
Right.
I'm not going to say anything, but I remember the stuntman goes, you all right? I can tell him, pull back. I go, I'm fine. You know, like this, because my ego is as big as his. Yeah. And then finally, I just go like this. I go, dude, you keep jabbing me in the, like I said it like this. I go, you keep jabbing me like this, dude. And he goes, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And just walked back and did it again.
Yeah, did it
he
again.
Didn't give a
Yeah.
shit.
Like I know where to turn. You have to jab me.
He fancied himself a tough guy.
Yeah. He would come across that like at the gym.
Yeah, he would hang out
I
with
didn't ask for a
mobsters,
spot.
too.
He was like, let's go. So I was all right.
Yeah.
And it's James Caan.
He would hang out with legit mobsters too.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of those guys.
That's why I did 6 more reps. I was like, I mean, he'll have me killed in the parking lot.
I got to do this. This episode is sponsored by Aura. Guys, you ever wonder how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is flooded with all kinds of spam? Well, there are companies out there called data brokers, and they sell your data against without your consent. You don't know it. They sell it to the highest bidder. They sell it to marketers. They sell it even to stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make the process very confusing, very convoluted. All right. But guess what? Aura is a company that takes care of all the hard part by automatically removing your info from all of these sites, and they keep it off. All right. So it is, and I have a number of friends that have used this stuff. It is an excellent company. If you look at their reviews, they are crushing it. It's an all-in-one digital security company. You may already have a digital security tool, but not having Aura is like locking the front door but leaving the back door open, okay? You get alerts if your personal info is found on the dark web. You get real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, 24/7 monitoring to help keep your identity secure, a secure VPN, antivirus, password manager, and more. US-based support available around the clock if something goes wrong. My whole family, I'm getting my whole family on this, okay? Because if anything does happen, Aura includes $5 million in identity theft insurance protection. How about that? One app, every layer of protection. That's why this podcast chooses Aura. Try Aura free 14 days at aura.com/Bryan Callen. Aura.com/Bryan Callen. In those 2 weeks, you'll discover where your data is being exposed and sold. All right. So I'm getting everybody I know on Aura in my immediate circle because it's just too important not to do. Thank you. Aura.com/Bryan Callen. But you were like, I remember when the fact that you were a prop comic made it very easy for people to make fun of you. And I always said, if you have a problem, if you make fun of Carrot Top for his props, you haven't seen him. You just haven't seen him do stand-up. Because now what happens, I was telling you in the car, every comic who's now, after all this time, when they see you and they see what you're actually doing, or the people that have been to your show, and I'm talking about seasoned comics, been around a long time, well, Rogan as well, right? It's like, they're like, oh no, he's a genius. That dude, there's a reason, you've been doing it since 2005 at the MGM Grand, I think filling it in pretty much every night. There's a reason for that. That's not an accident, you know?
Right.
But how have you been able to keep that going for that long? Like, how do you?
That's the $1 million question. I don't know. The thing also about the show, a lot of comics that come, well, first thing they say is, I didn't know you did stand-up. I thought you just did props. So when you do TV shows like the Regises and the Jay Leno shows and all those shows, I would show up and I say, can I do, they want that. They want Carrot Top. So I would say, can I do like a stand-up bit? I have this really cool, like 1-2 minute bit stand-up. And they, oh, no. They were terrified. And I'd say to Jay, and then I said, well, how about I sit on the couch, and then I'll do my you do my little stupid props, and then I'll do my stories, just and it wasn't really it wasn't even that point, that stage, it was probably because I wanted to prove to people, other comics at home, that I could do a stand-up routine. It only took until having the show every night in Vegas, I have the luxury of being able to do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
So now the show's probably 70% stand-up.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes total sense, though.
Because I
After a
just do
while-
the props, but then you get into storytelling, and then all of a sudden you're doing a whole monologue, and then it turns into, a 20-minute trumpet, and then
People are laughing their ass off.
Yeah,
It works.
it just keeps growing, and then and I'm lucky to. Well, in a sense, I built it that way, but from day one, I got shit for this too. When I went to comedy clubs way back in the day, the 80s, 90s, I would show up with a strobe light and a fog machine and a leaf blower, right? Because they were bits. It was like a hurricane bit. I'd have the leaf blower hitting me, and I'd do a Michael Jackson. And I had smoke was like doing a bed. My dad smoking, waking up smoking in bed. So it made sense why the props were there. But people were like, "What what is all this shit?" I'm like, "It's for my act." And they just didn't understand until they saw the show. And then when the comedy club owner saw it that night, he goes, "Oh my God, this is brilliant! You have a smoke machine to do your dad's joke. Like you need to visual."
Yeah.
So what the show now is, it's gone tenfold. I mean, I've got the big video wall behind me, so I can do a Pope joke. I can have smoke coming out of the ground. I'm like, "Oh, we got a new Pope," and you can do a visual on the screen with Trump. Any topical. A Trump thing or a thing or whatever.
So how often are you doing the show?
Every night but Sundays. Yes, so like 6 nights. Yeah.
And you've been doing that since 2005.
I've been doing that, at the Luxor, the 2005, but before that, MGM for about 10 years.
Dude.
So we've been in Vegas about 31 years.
31 years. And and every single night, you're working.
Yeah. And it's every night, as you know, you're in the business. It's so different. Vegas is, there's nights that they're just crazy, rowdy, drunk, and people getting tossed out of the thing. And then there's nights they're a good comedy crowd, and they listen, and they really want to be involved. I mean, so, yeah.
And you fill that in. You feel there's always.
Yeah, we try. Yeah, I mean, it's a good size. It's a good room for that.
How big is the room?
But every time Jay Leno asks me, he goes, "How big is the room?" I always say, "It's about 4,000. A lot of things." And I go, "No, Jay, it's about 400." He goes, "Oh, you only 4,000." And I get him every time. 4,000 seats, a lot of things. So yeah, it's about 400 seats, which is good for Vegas because you don't want to be competing with the Coliseum and Elton John and Rolling Stones and Grateful Dead. This weekend, last night was
400 is a lot of people.
Grateful Dead,
400 for stand-up is a lot.
Wrestling, and we got the Golden Knights. I mean,
you're
every night
competing with
Vegas is
everything.
full of something.
Yeah, well, that's what's so unbelievable to me, that you've been able to compete with all that for that long. That's insane.
Yeah, it is insane.
Do you ever get nervous that it's like going to end?
Not until you just brought this up. Now I'm nervous. No.
Dude, I know. And that's the other thing is I was thinking about. I just shot my fifth special at Rogan's,
Nice.
the Mothership, 3 months ago, and I was thinking to myself, I'll do this, and then I'm back to square one, and I can't help myself. I don't think I'll ever stop. Like I don't think I can. I don't know.
I hope not. That's what people always. I mean, that's
Well, you make a lot of money. No, that's
people always ask me. I put that in the show. I say, I've been doing this so long now. People ask me weird questions like, "When are you going to retire?" And I'm like, "Do I look that bad?" No, I don't plan on
What would you
retiring.
do with
That's what
retirement?
I always say. I'd guess people's weight at the fair. That's the only thing I could probably do accurately. What a great job that is, right?
Imagine
You just
you're
sit
just
there.
sitting there.
You just sit
What
in
are
a
you
lawn
doing now?
chair, and they bring people in. You just look at them like 290. I'm like, nope, fuck. All right, bring the next one in. 172.
Let me get my hands. Let me get my hands.
How was
on
work? Not good.
Carrot Top's guessing people's weight again. Let me get my hands on you. There you go.
Yeah, no hands.
Blindfolded.
You did the hands. You can't. It's just you just gotta look. You get no
Yeah.
hands. No.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. It's a really
Great game show though, wouldn't it? If you can put them in a box, you just you get to feel them out for a bit,
yes.
and then you guess and they're wrong, but you get felt up. So
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
It's like love at first sight,
Yeah,
love
yeah,
at
love
first
it.
grab.
yeah.
You know that there's this thing with congenitally blind men. They did a study. It's kind of a random thing, where they found that even congenitally blind men who'd never seen a human being prefer a 70 to 30 hip to
Wow.
waist ratio. So on a mannequin, they would feel it and they'd be like, that's way more attractive to me than this.
Yeah.
There's something inherent in
That's
it,
great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that.
See how I buttoned that little
Yeah,
segue?
yeah, it's
That's
good.
how I roll, dude. I'm a professional. Can you remember like the first time?
Yes,
you
her
remember-
name was Jane.
No, for God's sake, Scott. / Carrot Top. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the first time you realized maybe you could do this.
Ooh, man, that's a good question because I had no clue I could do. I mean, you
Right.
know,
Like that was
no.
somebody else's, right? That belonged to somebody else.
Yeah, I admired it. I would watch the Tonight shows when I was a kid and watch, you know, Don Rickles and Buddy Hackett and all those people on the Tonight shows and watch everybody and say, wow, that is just so. I just was just in awe by it, but I didn't even know anything about stand-up comedy or the idea of it. You know, when you're a kid, you just think like anything. You say, oh, I'll just be that. You know, my dad worked at NASA and trained astronauts. So when people would ask, what are you going to do? I said, oh, I'll be an astronaut. Like you could just be an astronaut. You know, I'm like, you have to be smart. Oh, yeah, I'm a dumbass, so I can't be an astronaut. But you pick the cool job. And then comedy, you know, did not plan this. I went to college and there was an open mic. And all my roommates said, you should be in it. And I was like, doing what? And they said, you're always being funny. But I didn't have jokes.
But you were always a silly goose.
I was always just commenting like on things. Like we were on the beach as kids, and we built a bonfire, and the cops came out, and they were telling us we had to put the fire out. And I said, I don't know why we have to put the fire out. We're on a beach. It's the safest place to have a fire. We have water and sand, 2 things to put fires out. Yeah. And my friends thought it was, and the cops, of course, was like, you're being a smart ass? I'm like, no, I'm being like serious. Like I think if you go in the woods, it's not good.
Yeah.
But we're on the beach. There's
the
water and
best
sand.
place
There's
in the
2
world.
things.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, see, that kind of stuff is clever. So I would always think of stories or things that would happen.
And did you test them out on your friends before?
Yeah,
you...
no, it was all improv. It was because the
I'm
cop
saying,
came out and I just would, you know.
But you would think about these things, and then did you start using your friends as a test audience, or did you just book
trying
your
to think
first
if I'd
open
never.
mic?
No, I think I just kind of no. I was really a quiet kid. I didn't. So the night of the open mic, my friends they said go up. So I don't have any jokes. So I went up and I did 2 old jokes. And the crowd went nuts because they're just old jokes. You know, guy goes into a bar, but it felt good being up there telling, seeing people laugh. So I get done, they said that was awesome because everybody else was, you know, playing, you know, folk songs and it was shit. So I went up there and the people were laughing and then they went, you have any more? So I said, you know, next semester I came back and I had like 10 more jokes. And the 3rd semester I was like, I need to do like my own thing.
So you were doing other people's jokes?
Oh, just Joan Rivers jokes, you know, and Rickle, all this stuff that I do, just knock jokes or whatever. And then the 3rd time I said, I'm going to pick on our school and the parking situation. We couldn't have a hot plate in our dorm. And I remember one of my first jokes I wrote, I said, you can't have a hot plate in your dorm. You can smoke dope, you just can't make soup. Like they knock on your door like, I smell soup, what's going on? No, it's just weed, okay.
Yeah.
But it was true, you know, something that the crowd would laugh. So I started doing a little bit of my own material, no props yet. And then I did I guess the first prop would be I got a big orange wig, and I already had big orange hair, so I put the orange wig over my hair. And I said, bring me up as Carrot Top. And I had never gone up as Carrot Top. I just thought this would be funny.
But your name was Carrot Top.
Not then yet. Oh, no, my name was Scott. Always Scott.
No, I know. Didn't you
No,
have a coach?
I don't remember her hearing it. We'll talk about that in a second. I don't remember my mom or someone. I don't know where that came from. Nah.
Bullshit, yeah.
So I put this orange wig on, and I went up, and I said, bring me up as Carrot Top. And they were like, oh, okay. And I went up, and I said, please welcome Carrot Top. And I had this big orange hair. And then I took it off, and then I had the same hair. So it was like, see, it was funny until,
I like that, though.
it was
so
great
stupid.
visual.
That's
It's so stupid. And so then, and that's how I said, we'll go by Carrot Top. I don't know. I was on the swim team, but I only was on the swim team so I could shave my legs. That was the only reason why I joined the swim team.
That's the only reason. Yeah. I was going to say thanks.
I want to shave my legs and be a swimmer. Then people can't give you shit. Oh, you ride bikes? Okay, you shave legs.
You have to shave your whole body. Any excuse to do that.
Yeah. I still do.
You look more muscular.
I still do. Yeah, I've always And girls hate that.
Well,
if you're smoother than the girls, they hate that. Like, why are your legs smoother than mine? I said, I just shave mine, bitch. You got to shave your legs.
You got to shave your legs. Stop being so hairy.
Yeah.
Stop being of the forest.
Yeah, sorry, you got to keep mine like.
You and I are roughly the same age, and I'll do shit like I'll decide I'm gonna shave close, and then I'm gonna shave my body and stuff. And my wife is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just trying to look younger. I want to."
Yeah.
I've always wanted to look more muscular, and it's never gonna happen. But
Yeah,
in the back of my mind,
is gonna make you. Yeah.
It's not. In the back of my mind, I feel like I work out and I'm going to be more muscular next year, and it's all downhill.
It's a good scene in the movie. Some real big fat fuck's sitting there, and you come out of the shower, he's shaving. Like, what are you doing? I look more muscular now, right? No, you don't look any more muscular than you did. No,
I can see you look like warm cheese.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
But
hairless is not gonna make you.
Hairless might even be creepy.
I mean, if you're ripped, it helps a little bit, right? You're ripped, it shows your veins more and you pop
Yeah,
out.
but
You know.
some people, there are those guys that have that like the kind of skin that goes well with turquoise and silver jewelry. You know what I mean? They're naturally hairless with
Yeah.
like olive skin,
yeah.
barrel
Yeah.
chested.
Yeah, I
They
hate
just, I
those
don't even
people.
lift. You're
No.
like, fuck off.
Yeah,
They
I don't
kinda-
even lift. Yeah.
They like being at a pool party because they look
Yeah,
great in
right,
shorts.
right,
and
right,
I didn't have that. I was always
No.
self-conscious of everything.
Same.
That's probably why we're comics, though, right?
Well, I think.
Right?
I mean, I lived in Florida and I had freckles and I had red hair. Everyone else was blonde and tan, and I'm this
Right.
white freckled shitty redheaded guy. I hated it.
I have a joke about
and
that.
everyone pick on me, so I started picking on myself. You know.
I literally have a joke. My son is Ginger, and I have a joke about him. He's 3, and I always talk about like, good luck getting laid, right? Like if you're a ginger, I don't even think they get laid in Scotland. You know,
Nice,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
I want a man who's tall,
yeah.
pale, and orange. You know, I mean it's true. And then I do this other thing where I was like, if you walked into an orphanage to adopt a child, and the first baby they held up was a ginger, everybody would be like,
Yeah.
oh, he's great. Can we look around? You know.
Oh, that used to be my joke, and I haven't done that joke in a while. So, we're running out of redheads, and they say, why? And I say, because no one's fucking us. You know?
There you go.
That's exactly
There you
what
go.
your point to that.
Yeah.
You know? And people would always, that's another joke I used to be, they would say, oh, I have this really hot friend, you should meet her. And I said, oh, great. And she has red hair too, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they think we have to breed?
Yeah.
Like, you know, date redheads? Like,
Yeah. So now your kid's really
I
bad.
don't think
in the
redheads
sun.
like having sex with other redheads, to be
No,
honest with you.
no.
you know?
You want to diversify.
Stay
the
far
gene
from them.
pool.
Stay
Yeah.
far away from me.
Well, again, it's like I don't think you can like yourself a lot. Like there was this guy who came up to me and he asked me like for some advice, and he was this tall, handsome kid, man, jacked, and just a gorgeous kid. And he goes, "I want to do stand up. You have any advice?" I go, "Well,
You ugly up a little bit.
yeah." I was like, you might be too symmetrical. Like maybe back off the weights. You know, I just
Yeah,
think-
I think there's something to be said about that. I think, but there's some
Sometimes.
successful, very handsome.
yeah. I mean, I'm being.
No, but I
dramatic
mean, I'm
here.
with you though. Sometimes I'll see a guy, I'm like, that guy's just way too hot to be.
Yeah.
To be and people say like anything when I start lifting weights, like you can't lift weights, dude. You got to be like out of shape. That's what comics do. And I said, well, I don't know if to be out of shape necessarily, but you don't want to be ripped. I don't
So
think.
I always say I lift weights hoping something's going to change.
Yeah.
Like that's all. But I also think a healthy dose of self-loathing or
Yeah,
just like
yes.
dissatisfaction.
or looking like a fucking moron like me, it helps.
Well,
you know?
you've got a very
I think when you
unique
go out to yeah.
you know? When did you start wearing these wigs and doing all that stuff? When did that all start?
This is not a wig I have on now.
That's your
Joe.
those are your
this
dreads.
This is my dread.
Yeah.
That would be weird if you said when you. So what's
you said
about
you
that
wore wigs,
about
but-
that wig? No, I never wore a wig ever after that one show.
you didn't? Oh,
that was
okay.
a one night gig. I just had opened up. I said, hey, or I think I may have done it twice. I just said, hey, look, it's Carrot Top, and then I had my hair, and people were like,
You just let your hair. You'll just do whatever with that.
yeah,
That's it.
there's
That's
just shit tied in it. There's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I was with, we had gone to an Aerosmith show. We were backstage talking to him, and he looked at me. He's like, hey, man, we got something in common. And we looked at each other, and he had exactly, like we took a picture together too. It was weird. We had done the same
Steven Tyler?
exact things to our, Stephen Tyler, to
wow.
our hair. I'd never seen him. I had blue and pink and red and purple, and he had red and blue and pink, and he had some like tinsel. I said, look, I got tinsel in mine. And I tied this little like piece of yarn in it. He's like, I got to put some yarn in mine, man. And next time I saw him, he had yarn in his hair.
What
so,
do you think that is? That's such an interesting thing to even think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I would never, even if I could do that, I wouldn't do that. There's something.
I
about,
don't even think I'm doing it. This is my life.
This is who you are.
I wake up and I'm like, I think I'm going to put some pink yarn in my hair today. Like, I don't think about it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
That's
That's just the way your
I don't
brain
plan
works.
on it. I do. People say, "Oh, you dress." You go back and look at my dress the same when I started in comedy. I had the exact same thing. I wore flowers and rainbow shirts and weird shit and headbands.
Yeah.
like,
But some people do that. What do you think that is? That's just like
it just kind of happened. I didn't try to
It's
do it
more
as a
decoration?
Style.
You
It was
just
just a style that I just kind of. I don't think it wasn't to get attention. I already had enough attention, so it wasn't to get attention. It was just my
feel more
preference
comfortable.
my preference of how I like to dress. If I God kill me if you ever see me in like a suit or a button-up shirt.
No, but that's
Something wrong.
I'm interested that. So for me, it's a specific color and a specific portion. Like I
Yeah.
can't have anything hanging. Like
Yeah.
that would make me nervous.
Yeah.
If I had shit around, I can't wear rings or any jewelry because I can't have
Yeah, I
anything
don't
on.
like- I don't
you
like-
give me the
yeah.
most expensive watch in the world. I remember a guy said to me, he wanted me to. I was in Canada, and he had a watch shop, and his nephew was an MMA guy, and he said, if you'll just introduce my nephew to Joe Rogan, you can have any watch in this store. And obviously, I'm not going to do that. But I remember I said to him, I go, look, I really appreciate it, but I would never wear a watch. You give me a $500. I can't wear something on but you're totally the opposite. You love.
I don't wear jewelry. I have a cock ring on, but I don't wear jewelry.
Thank you. And I knew that.
I don't.
I could see it through the shorts.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I don't wear I never wear rings. I never wear.
Yeah. But you have an ankle bracelet.
Yeah, and again, they're mostly just yarn and stuff. It's just like shit I find, and I just tie it around my leg.
Superstition?
No, it has nothing.
It's decoration.
I don't even know if it's even decoration. People always say, "What does that mean?" I said, "That doesn't mean anything. I don't know. It's just part of what I don't know. I don't think about it."
Yeah.
Like, why do you wear makeup? I'm like, I wore makeup before I was in comedy. I just liked makeup. My nephew, I turned it into a bit when I had taken all of his friends to the mall, and they were just young kids, 12, 13, all eating pizzas and ice cream and stuff at the mall. And one of his friends says, "Why does your uncle wear makeup?" And my nephew says, "He's in show business." And I said, "That's exactly right." And I just thought that was a brilliant thing, right? Because when people say to me, "Why do you have makeup on?" I said, I'm in show business, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And then I added another joke when he said, "Why does your uncle wear makeup?" He's in show business. So why does he wear women's panties? I'm in show business. Jesus. We've talked about this.
We talked about this, and that's show business.
That's the answer, okay? That's why I wear them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that, it's true, because people always say, "Well, it's like I don't try." I mean, what's funny if I go somewhere like one of these crazy towns like San Francisco, or go to Seattle or something like that, I completely blend in. No one thinks they're like, it's just another freaking town. They had a big, what does that call that in California? The not Lollapalooza, but the big festival, music festival.
Burning Man.
One like that.
Coachella.
So I just got off the plane it was a month ago, and a driver picked me up, and no clue who I was, which is fine. You just said, "Oh, you're looking, just rock star," and I said, "No." You come from Coachella, and I said, "No, it's just a Tuesday." I didn't come from Coachella. I don't even know Coachella was there.
What do you think you would be if you couldn't do stand up?
I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be like an architect or a teacher. I always liked teaching. Was kind of fun. But I, in a sense, we teach, right? We get on stage and we kind of, in a sense, talk in front of people. And sometimes you can give them some type of wisdom. But that's one of those questions that's interesting, because, right, what would happen? And if let's say they said tomorrow you're done, I honestly don't know what I would do. Like, I'm not going to go to an accounting firm. Although I got a degree in marketing, but who the fuck's going to trust me with numbers?
Yeah.
This guy looks just like the guy we need to invest with our company. So advertising. I got a marketing degree, so I love advertising. I mean, the whole Carrot Top thing is completely advertising.
Really?
From the very beginning, it was a logo.
I want to talk to you about that, because I have a company. I have a company, and I use comics as a think tank, and we do funny ads for different brands.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. It's really, really fun.
I literally honestly drew a logo before I had an act. I was in.
Really?
I was in.
Have you ever thought about doing it for other brands? Like just.
I've done some things for friends.
Yeah.
Just for free. I haven't done anything for people. Have asked me what's their, if I can come up with a logo or some kind of thing for their, and I've done a few for some friends, but it was just interesting, because I was before the second time I don't even think I did once yet at the college. We had a marketing class, and we had to draw logos. So I drew Carrot Top, and I drew this like carrot with a thing and whatever. And I still have it. It's in the show. We showed it. I said, I drew that's the very thing before I even had an act. I drew this logo, and it was like a carrot holding a microphone or something.
Yeah.
And it's evolved now into a different logo. But
so you can draw.
I can doodle. I'm not sure if I can. I can kind of draw a little bit. Not.
You have no tattoos.
I can draw. I have a little heart right here, and I have a carrot covered up right here.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm not really a tattoo guy. I was thinking about getting the Last Supper on my forehead, but haven't committed yet to that.
Do it. It's a great idea. It's so.
What the hell's on your foot? Is that the Last Supper? Yeah.
But in tiny letters.
Just the drawing, the whole thing, all of them sitting.
Only you're Jesus.
Yes.
That's good.
And if you know what we just wear hat low,
Are you religious?
I'm born Catholic, but I don't. I believe
You're a
in
lapsed Catholic.
Yeah, but I have my little. A fan gave me this in the show last night.
So last night.
So I wore it today. I was going through the crowd, and this
So cool.
couple was. I always shake hands with everybody, shoot the shit a little bit, and this couple said, "This is our 50th wedding anniversary." And I said, "Oh my God, you're spending with me? That's crazy." I said, "I love your necklace," and she had all this bling and I said, "I love that." And I said, "I want that." And I was kidding, and I went down 2 more people, and I looked back. I said, "I want that necklace." And then her husband was taking it off her. I said, "No, God, that wasn't like a anniversary gift, was it?" She goes, No, it's fine." And so she gave it to me, and I wore it. Yeah,
I wonder if that's
today.
real.
I'm assuming it's probably not, but it's not. It was nice. It was a nice gesture.
Cool if they were that rich,
So
right?
I wore it today, thinking that was nice of her.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I would have taken it anyhow, but
I had a guy
thanks
give
for
me
giving
a
this to me.
giant iron cross that he made in his machine shop. Like it was like
Nice.
that big, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what. I was like, "Oh, thank you." And it was literally just an iron cross.
Yeah.
He's like, I was like, "Oh, thank you
I
very
put that
much."
on the hood of my car.
That's what
Yeah.
it would be for, and only it'd
people
be
would
just
get out
a
of your
little
way.
too
They
big.
would get out of your way.
Yeah, you're not allowed
You
to
don't have to
have
honk, you just-
hood ornaments, or at least Europe, you're not anymore.
No.
Because people would get hit, and they'd get impaled on the hood. on
Yeah,
the
we'll just mount it down the hood, like not up, down.
I
So
want it
just-
on top.
Well, right in like the Pope
know what I
mobile.
mean?
Just put it right on the top.
Yes. Or I'll get it right here. Bro.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you spend a lot of time, like you're alone a lot of the time.
I am a loner. Thank you for asking.
are, right?
Brian?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I do a lot on my Instagram about that. I'm normally by myself.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing.
You
I
like it.
I like it, and I think a lot, and I don't know. It's when around people too, but usually when I'm around people, I can't focus.
Yeah.
So I'm by myself, and people always walk up to me at restaurants or wherever, and they say, "Oh, you look sad. You want me to sit with you?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I don't want you to sit with me." They do it all the time though, and then I said, "Listen," I put on Instagram. I said, "If you ever see me somewhere by myself, I'm fine. I don't." And then they make you bad when they're like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." You look sad. I'm like, "I do?" And they're like, "Yeah, you don't look happy." I'm like, "Well, now I don't because you've been bothering me for 30 minutes. Now I'm really not happy."
To me,
They sit
I don't
right
think
down
there's-
next to you. There's a whole fucking bar
there's-
open.
I
They
would
sit
lose
right
my
next to
mind
you.
with that shit.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way to write, in my opinion. One of the things I love about the road is being alone.
Yeah.
And I get to just daydream.
Yeah.
Right? And wait till something happens. And that does require just a lot of solitary time. It's a weird job though, because I'll spend all day alone, and then the opposite, like you're in front of all these people.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you're like, hey, shaking it. It's a weird juxtaposition. It's a very strange fucking life, man.
Well, it is. It's also for both sides. So you have one that, like me, who's single and lonely, not lonely,
Yeah.
alone a lot, and you have some married children so everyone has their own. So comics that are married, they have the whole family. Their stuff's hilarious because all they're like, you
all
watch
kids and
Gaffigan.
stuff.
It's all about his family and his wife and the Seinfeld and his thing. It's hilarious. Then you single guys like me, we talk about whatever.
Yeah.
But it's where you
different
get your
reality.
information and your energy from.
How do you write? You just basically
I never sit down and ever write, ever. Never in my life.
you just come up with an idea
Yeah.
and go over it. That's
And I literally am driving or sitting there, and it'll just hit me, and then I'll jot it down on a piece of paper. I don't have a computer.
yeah.
Everything's on notebooks, and I just jot it down, and then I try it.
You
I
keep
try
coming
using-
back to it, right? And then
I mean, some bits I really try, and we work them out, and they turn out to be like really good routines. And then sometimes there's ones, how I don't know how to get this thing to work, but it is funny, but I can't figure out the way. And same with the prop. I have a prop idea, I'll build it, and it's usually I know it's going to be funny. It's I just made one for that's great. It's the visual is great. AC/DC was just in Las Vegas, right? So everyone went and saw AC. It was huge.
They were at the Sphere, whatever?
Stadium.
Okay.
So 100,000 people.
Still
The
packed.
AC, packed, can't get a seat.
God.
And some of their guys came to our show, so I know like there were 8 people, the lighting guys and da. So they came and I said, hey, I made this prop just for them, so they would get a kick out of it. Now they wanted to share it with AC/DC, they could. So there's a video we put on the big wall of Angus. His signature move is that his leg
Yeah.
going like that. So I go AC/DC, and they play the song, no, fire your guns, and it shows him doing the move. I said, look at that fucking guy, 70-some years old, 70. Now when he's 80, he's not going to be able to do that. So I made his guitar. So it's a guitar that has a leg that goes like that. And it kills. I mean, it just fucking kills. It's just so stupid, but the music's
So
playing, and it's how you got it is.
It's so
and the crowd
stupid.
is so visual.
gotta
You
come
see this
see the
leg
show.
going
I
like
have
you see
to
the
come
leg
see-
and a guitar just going like it's great.
I gotta come.
But
see
I know
the
when
show.
I'm making that one, that's going to be like I'm already on. This is going to kill. Like
Yeah,
if
you
it,
know,
there's no way it eats shit. It can't.
I think that's part of like experience too. When you've done it long enough, you don't second guess. You just know it's going to work.
Oh, I built some that sucked.
Yeah,
I did.
well-
I got it. I did it. I did it 2 weeks in a row and nothing. I'm like, no, you don't like this.
I do this like lately. I wrote this thing on this. Like I have a Chinese friend, and I don't even know where I'm going with it. But like I'll just do it. I'll stumble through it, and I'll be like. And then a lot of times I'm just like, look, if you come back in 3 months, that whole bit's going to be so much funnier. Yeah, it's going to be realized. And it's always fun about. I can't believe you've never shot a special, by the way, because it's so fun. Like part of what's
Well,
cool
we have back in the day. We just
You
haven't
did?
done one in a while.
It's been a long time.
A long time.
But I guess you don't need to, right? You just
No, I want to, and I want to do it in a way
just
where
for posterity's sake, man.
I want to do it in a way where I don't know. I find when you watch a special, I've always wanted to do more of a docu kind of thing where you can show the show, but also show the making of like that stupid prop, showing me building it and be back
That's
talking
good.
about it, and then showing me doing it live, and then it cuts back
Yeah.
to. So it's a little bit of performance and also a little bit of kind of how the fuck does this machine happen in a sense. So it's not just the hour special. I want them to see. Well,
What's the
does
one
Carrot
prop-
Top come up with this shit?
Yeah, what's the one prop that you're the most proud of?
They
That's
call it
surprising?
what's the problem? No.
What's I love that stupid shit. What's the problem?
Yeah, what's the problem?
prop
I just thought that's
ability?
stupid.
Like I'm just reminded of my buddy Steven sent me this thing where he did this. He did Pirate Doctor. It's so dumb, and the guy's like the guy basically is like goes, "Hey, let me see your ear," and he pulls out a long, whatever the fuck that is, the scope, and he's looking at it. And I just think that's so dumb. You're a pirate doctor, and he's let me look in your eye. I look in your eye now, and but stuff like that just makes me laugh. What's the one prop that killed the biggest crowd pleaser?
God. There's
a lot
been
of
so many of them that are instantly. I mean,
He's
I mean,
funny, ladies and gentlemen. He's
Well, no.
talented.
You mean like there's the one that there's ones that are quick.
Yeah.
That right away, boom, like skinny jeans for fat guys. I mean, it's just gonna get a big laugh. This old plate for bulimics, a mousetrap to catch gay mice. I mean, it's instantly funny. And then there's ones like that I like that if I had to have one framed in the Smithsonian, whatever, in a comedy museum. Only because like George Carlin and Seinfeld, all these Gary Shandling would walk up to me and say, "That fucking shit." Like Carlin said, "That's fucking good," and it was this
Carlin said that.
literally that.
That's my
he said,
dude, that's my favorite. Come on.
I do a whole thing in the show.
That's my
all that.
favorite. Yeah.
He did he said just like that. That that fucking thing is good. I had done it on a whole bunch of shows, and I think he saw me on one of them. I'm at an airport, and I walked over to him. I don't want to bother you. He said, "Gee, don't bother me, Carrot Top." And I just couldn't believe he knew me.
Yeah.
And then he knew my act. And that's when it got weird. He's like, "That thing with the thing, damn it." And then he said, now the cup one, the fuck. How'd you come up with that? And I literally looked at him. I said, how'd you come up with the shit bit? I mean, all the
Yeah.
shit bit, right?
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, but this is different." I said, "No, it's not different." He said, "Yeah, it is. It's different. How did you come up with that?" Just like you would write. I was it started with just a paper cups and string telephone. I said, "We've all had this, right? For years. Someone has the, hey, what's going on? When you're a kid." I said, "Don't they have a new one, an updated version one?" And I had a call waiting that came out of it. Another cup came out. I said, "Hey, I got to call you back. I have another call. Hey, what's going on?" And he just, lost his
That's
mind.
so
He said, "That's
stupid.
fucking clever shit." And then I had three cups come out. It was conference calling, and then I had a clear cup for caller ID. "I know it's you. Pick up. I can see you." And he
so-
just loved it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
But
It's
it's
so
also
great.
clever. But it's also that's dumb, and it's also clever
No, it's
because
great.
because the clever part, the clever part is the call
No,
waiting would pop
obviously,
out of
it's
it.
great.
But it's so. But yeah,
And
the
a
skinny
clear
jeans was
cup.
more dumb. The plate for bulimics is dumb, for sure. But they. But they all
man.
they all have their own little
Yeah.
life.
I gotta
you know?
come. I gotta come see your show. I have to.
And they've evolved. I mean, the old shit back in the night. We were talking about just the other night. This old stuff that I did.
Bring
back
it
then.
back, man, and shoot a special. You know
Yeah,
what I
we
mean?
want to do
All
carrot
the
classics
old
and
hits,
just do all
right?
the old hits. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
'Cause there's so
Sometimes
many
I'll
of
do
them,
that.
old
Like
ones.
I miss some of the old bits. I
Yeah.
miss them, especially when I can't write new ones. So I'll just do old ones. Like I did that last night at the mothership. I was just like, up there for a half hour, and I was like, I'm gonna just do a bunch of stuff with my dad I haven't done in like, I don't know, 10
Sometimes
years.
it's fun though, as long as you're having fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and you just like, I don't know, there's something.
But then sometimes you might grow out of that, like I mean, grow in a new bit.
Grow in or out.
No, from that. So sometimes I go do an old, and I say, "Oh, I just realized there's another bit inside that old bit that I never did." So sometimes to go back and revisit that it can bring up a new segment that you didn't even know that existed in that bit.
Yes. That's. Is there like, are you a reader? Do you read books? Watch movies?
I don't know how to read.
I thought, poor thing. He's
No, I
illiterate.
don't read
He's
a lot. No,
illiterate.
I used to read more books than I was like, but I don't, not much. I mean, literally like Harry Potter books I used to read, but believe it or not.
Yeah.
But I don't read much, and strangely enough, I don't watch any shows. I'm like this weird guy. I watch
Really?
sports. Yep, I watch Sports Center
Oh, you're a sports guy.
and the news,
And the news.
and I go to bed. I just get caught up on the day, what's happening, and then I watch a little sports, and then. But if I'm watching a series or a comedy series, especially, I don't watch any of those, you know.
Yeah, I don't.
But or a Netflix show, that I'm not going to get creative off that show. Something about just listening to normal stuff, sports or news, I'm like, there's another one.
Wow.
Commercial comes on and it makes me think of something, you know. But I'm not I don't. People say, what show you watching? I'm like, I don't know. Now, I'm not going to ever get on Netflix now because I told them I don't watch Netflix. I love Netflix.
I love them. I love them. Yeah, I'm sure you will.
But I don't watch any. I don't watch. I'm really horrible at that.
Well, you're not horrible at it. It's just you're
I'm old.
compartmentalized.
I am definitely that. I'm just in my set in my ways, and I go to the show. I go to the gym. That's my whole day, every day.
It's just part of who you are. It's like it's so, you know.
But it's not bad because it works.
A lot of creatives were that
me.
way, you know.
Yeah, it works
so
for me.
Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick and stuff, was that way.
Yeah.
There are a lot of authors, James Joyce.
Yeah.
They were super like routine oriented, and because most of their time went into thinking about they were. It was about imagination, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of like really great writers and authors. I would even suggest stand-ups. They're not. I guarantee Dave Chappelle doesn't have a really eventful life. I don't think he's doing a bunch of stuff. I know
He
some of the
probably
funniest
rollerblades
people.
and then goes, you know.
Yeah, he rollerblades and then does his karate, but that's it.
Probably
His
it.
kung fu. But overall, I don't think. I think most creatives are pretty routine, fairly cautious. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Cautious is the wrong word, but definitely routine. I think if you have longevity, I would imagine
There has to be a set routine,
Right?
I haven't changed my routine my whole life.
Really. What do
I
you?
mean, my whole life.
What about your
meaning-
diet?
I mean, my whole life being like since I've been doing the residency at,
Sure.
at the thing, it definitely has not changed because it's not. You never
You're a
wanna use
creature
the
of
word
habit.
rut. Yeah, but it's not a rut because you say rut. It's not.
No.
It's just
You're a habit.
I wake up. I literally I'm like I water on my flowers in my courtyard and I do all this like crazy music on and just kind of wake up, drink some coffee, and then I go to lunch and I go to the gym and then I go to the show. I mean, that's literally my day.
What do you? Is there a specific thing? Do you eat the same thing every day, or?
No, I eat everything and anything. Yeah.
And by the way, Vegas has great food.
Great. They everywhere. I mean, now, my goodness, you could go every day and never hit at the same restaurant.
Where are your favorite restaurants? Do you have any favorite
Burger
spots?
King, Wendy's. No,
You silly.
you can go the whole. You can go the. I pull into Wendy's, I get the shit free, right? They're like, hey, she's here.
Yeah.
But.
By the way, I was gonna say
That's my.
she's got a mustache.
That used to be my old classic.
She's transitioning.
That was my first big. I call it my free bird. Back in the day, I was in the Bahamas, and I'm literally my first 2 years into comedy, playing the Joker's Wild Comedy Club in the Bahamas, and me and the other opening act, we'd go down to the Wendy's because there was nothing else on the island. There was no other place to go eat. And you can only have conch so many times, right? So I said, we're not going to have conch fritters and conch fucking this. So we'll go to Wendy's. And we went to Wendy's every day for I think we were there for 2 weeks. And we walk in, and every day they just, we thought they're laughing because we go there every day. They're laughing at us like, look at these fucking clowns. And I don't know, like fourth time we walk in, they're all laughing again and saying something. So I said, I know it's silly, huh? We're stupid Americans. We come here every day for our food. And she's like, no, don't take this around. They were laughing so hard, and they were like, you look, and she held up the cup. She said, you look like, and I said, I look like Wendy.
That's a great Bohemian accent, by the way.
Oh, isn't it great?
You look like it's really good, dude. That's spot on. Are you from the Bahamas?
I'm from the Bahamas.
You look like a Wendy.
You look like a very much like a.
Wow, that's.
Yeah. Hey, man, you look like the Wendy.
Hey, man, you look like.
Better?
Yeah, that's better.
The comic and I we just lost our mind. We went right from there. We went to a Walgreens, and I bought
Rubber
clips
bands,
and rubber
yeah.
bands, and I put them in my hair, and that was my opening joke for 10 years.
Which was
When it was the Wendy's girl, I said, yeah. I'd go, you think you know what it is? And then I say, and I put my head through this logo. It's the Wendy's girl, and it turned into like a 20-minute bit.
people
I'd pull
loved
up
it.
and like, shit, she's here, and I'd go around clean the tables. How's everything? Everything's fine. And and then it be really honest. It was like, you go to Carrot Top, there's gonna be some Wendy's fucking stupid.
you just never know like what's going to spur a bit that could be the most
that was
successful.
my big. I called
Yeah.
my show as my free bird back in the day. Do Wendy's. They would
Yeah.
yell it out too. Do the Wendy's girl.
My shit comes in the morning.
Yeah.
If I don't start in the morning, if I don't start writing or thinking about it in the morning, it just gets, I don't know, heavy.
Yeah.
I think, you know what happens too is like, I don't know if this happens to you, but like if I'm feeling stressed or I'm feeling anxiety, I know it's because I'm not writing. I know it's because I'm not putting that energy
sure.
into creativity.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best way to not, and you can't just do that, right? You can't say, I'm not going to have stress. I'm going to write today. But when you're creative and you're writing, there's nothing else that's going to keep you from having anxiety. You're just worrying about you're working.
Right.
Your brain's working.
What brought you to Austin besides this? Very famous
An airline. Yeah.
Come on, you don't fly private? Whatever, Scott.
People always ask me that. You got a private jet? God bless Toby Keith. So Toby and I were really good friends, and one day he's just shooting the shit with me, and he says, "You fly private, right?" And I said, "No," and he goes, "What the fuck? Why don't you fly private?" I said, "Toby Keith, Carrot Top." He goes, "Man, you got to work harder, son." And Jeff and I, we say that almost every day. You got to work harder, son. I said, I can't work any fucking harder.
Dude.
I don't care if I had 18 shows a day. I wouldn't afford a jet.
By the way, a jet, my friend flew me from L.A. to Austin,
Yeah.
and that cost him
Oh, yeah, no.
$50,000.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's like, that's a lot of coin, man, for 2 hours.
I'd rather spend it on my cock ring collection.
I was going to
I'm telling you.
say, I would too, especially because it's custom.
Yeah, and they're all different colors. And they're ceramic. They're beautiful.
I know. Congrats. You think his hair's something. You should see his cock.
If I did have a private jet, though, that would be the tail wing. It would say cock ring.
It's like,
Wouldn't that be great?
you guys want to get on the cock ring?
Yeah.
Carrot's going to have, it's a party bus.
Hey, we're all taking the cock ring. You're like, oh, man, have you been on the cock ring? That'd
Yep.
be great, dude.
Yep. And then you
when you
have
pull it
to-
there, but everyone knows, like, it's Carrot Top.
and everybody's giving cock rings.
It could have a carrot, and the ring could just be on the carrot. No.
Yes.
But I like that'd be great.
I like the idea.
Yeah, I
And
like
it's
it. So
carrot colored.
now I got to work harder, son, to get a jet.
Wouldn't you call it a carrot ring?
No, yeah.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I'm really funny. It's fantastic. So, but you just came out here to Austin
Yeah.
to do podcasts.
Yeah.
Are you doing Rogan?
I did Rogan before. He was very, very
He loves comics.
very well. You know, it's funny. The only reason I got on, I think he wanted me on, but I didn't know. I was listening to Gilbert Gottfried on it, and everybody kept sending to me, dude, did you hear this? And I'm like, no. And they were talking about me and how great I was, and I was like, oh shit, like I didn't know. I was like
cool.
thinking Joe Rogan probably hates me, like Carrot Top. And so we reached out, and he says, now we're, I say best buds, but
Yeah.
I could call him and say, hey man. But he was a great. I just didn't know. I was so reluctant. Oh, I'm going in to get attacked, and he was like, no, dude, you're fucking. So it was tremendously fun.
A lot of people feel that way about Joe.
Kill Tony. We're
Oh,
doing that.
did you? You're doing that
Tonight.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
I never done it.
Oh, dude, you're gonna have a blast. I might come in and watch that.
All right. Yeah, I'll be there.
I love that. That sounds great. Yeah, you're gonna love that. Tony, do you know Tony?
Yeah, I met him.
He's
just
great.
a couple weeks ago in Vegas.
He's such a sweet human being.
Yeah.
He's such a good guy. As for people think like he's a roaster and stuff, but he's such a good.
No, I felt that way when I was
Yeah.
around him. He's a sweet. We've been talking too about this.
His success has not changed him at all either. He's like, he's still.
Is he successful?
Yeah, just a little bit. But I've known him. I've known Tony for. I mean, I was doing Kill Tony in the belly room of this comedy store, and I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. But he's really been at that for so long, but he, regardless of how well Kill Tony does, he still loves stand up and works so hard at it.
Yeah.
And he has so much respect for the form.
Yeah.
And it just keeps you humble, man.
That's
it just
good.
keeps you
yeah,
humble.
I'm excited
right?
about doing it. And he called me and he said, "Man, I really want you on this thing." And I said, "All right." So I'm excited.
So great. I love hearing that. Yeah, that makes sense. Kill Tony's the shit. And it's almost the only game in town in some ways, like for comics now.
Yeah.
If you don't have your own following or you didn't get grandfathered in with the Netflix stuff, it's like, he really does expose and find new talent.
Oh, it's great.
What do you do? You get on there and judge?
I literally have no clue.
just do it.
We talked on the phone, and then I saw him in person. We didn't have much time to talk because he was doing his thing. But I called him just the other day, and he said, can you bring some of your stuff? And I'm like, I didn't. Was kind of like, I don't want to bring fucking props to this thing. He's like, no, then don't. I just thought my fans would go ape shit. And he talked to me for so long. He's like, I said, okay.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, he said, my crowd's going to go crazy because it's you, and then all of a sudden you pull out some like shit.
It's crazy.
He said they'll love it. So I brought some stuff.
Just do it out of nowhere.
Well, I think
funny?
he's got something planned where he's going to say something, and then I don't even know how. I think I judge, right?
Yeah, maybe you could
And then he
maybe
just
you
goes-
could give the comic some advice and pull out a prop and say.
Well, I think that's
make
what
that
kind of the gist of what he was going to say. Like, how can
Yeah.
you help him? And I said, well, you need a plate for Bleemix is what you need. So this would get you places,
Yeah.
Or the chopsticks that I have these chopsticks that they're on a motor, so they go. So you when you're eating a thing, you look like you really know what you're fucking doing. These chopsticks are going. And visually, television. That's what's great. The television props are.
Yeah.
In that club, we just dropped off the stuff, and it's a very intimate room.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't. I think on TV it does everything. TV ads,
Yeah.
like my cock is like huge on TV.
Huge on TV. Yeah.
But that club, when I walked into this thing, I said, "Oh, it's a nice." They're going to be able to see all the little visuals that I have. I was worried about being a big room. So
no, it's small. But are you doing little boy or fat boy? I think you're doing fat boy.
I don't even know.
Yeah, you're doing big room. But it's a great
Well,
room.
is
It's still
it
an
blue?
intimate room. Yes. Yep. So that's what it is. That's great, man. I'm tempted to come and watch that. In the VIP
There's no room. I already asked.
Damn it! Please, I'm just asking. That is the most anticipated ticket in town. Everybody wants to go see that. Shit.
Yeah, Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would think. I'm actually I'm excited and nervous to this thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
You're
gonna love it. It's nothing you're not used to.
I talked to Fluffy. I almost said Puffy.
Oh yeah, Fluffy.
Not Puffy. Puffy never gave me any
Gabriel
advice.
Iglesias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, dude, it's so because he's, you know him.
Yeah.
He is so sweet.
I don't know him.
He's so
guy.
sweet of a guy." And I'm like, they asked me to do it. And he said, "No, I'm not going to roast people. That's not my style."
Yeah.
And he said he went and did it. And he says just the opposite. It's so fun. You just, And I'm not going to give any comic shit. I'm going to be just the opposite. I'm going to say, you asking me to give you advice?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, right. Well, it's great though. It's like it's you get a minute, which is insane. And,
the comic does?
Yeah, it's a great concept. I'm going to be doing a show at Brian Redband's thing where it's called Act Off, and basically it's like comics we get to see. We have all the comics there, and they get a prompt: who can die in slow motion the best?
Oh, great.
Who can die in fast motion the best? How would you kill somebody with a knife, and what would you say to them?
That's great.
All that stuff.
That's fun.
Yeah, and then we'll just redo like famous movie scenes and stuff like that.
That's great.
Yeah, I want to. That hasn't been done yet, so I'm psyched. And I just thought of it. Call it Act Off because that's such a dumb name for it. And so, see if I can make.
I like that.
Yeah, you'll have to come in. I'm gonna
Yeah.
fly you in. Did you ever want to be an actor?
I've done some acting. I
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you worked on it. Any famous? Favorite actors? Or you don't watch movies? You watch sports?
No, I have a lot of good actors. I love. I'm like again. I'm the old. I like old movies. I still watch all the old stuff more than I do the new. But I like everything you've been in.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the attitude I'm looking for out of you, young man. Where's my
But yeah, I
camera?
like
Where's
it.
my camera?
I did some acting. I did a chairman of the board, which people love to make fun of. It was actually not a bad movie. I had Raquel Welch and Jack Warden. I mean, there was some big
Wow.
names in there.
Yeah.
Then I did with Don Rickles. We did Dennis the Menace. So I've done a little bit.
Don
of stuff.
Rickles, when Bob Saget was directing Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang, Don Rickles come up to me and goes, I'm coming from the set of Martin Scorsese. I told him you were directing a movie. The man clutched his chest. It's so funny. Don Rickles is like, listen. He looks at Saget. He goes, "This is a bad look for you. I'm a Jew. You're a Jew. It's one Jew to another. You're giving us a bad name. Get it. Quit. Just quit the business."
You're giving it to be both like this thing.
No,
he's brilliant, isn't he?
Oh, so funny.
I'd work every morning for a month. So I would have all these prosthetics and
He must have tortured you.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about him, though. As you know, at least with me, every morning, Betty White was in it. I mean, I get to the trailer probably dark. It's like 5:36 because I had to put all this stuff on. I had to be 3 hours of makeup before.
What were you playing?
Every different thing, from an Indian to a thing to old guy. I played Don Rickles as an older guy, so I was in all these costumes. And everyone else would get there. Brian Joel Murray was my partner. He would, show up at 9. We start at 10. I get there at 4 in the morning. Rickles would come in the trailer every morning and look right at me and goes, "Oh, you're still in this?" Every day, but for a month, every day. "Oh, you're still in this?" And I go, "Yeah, so far." And he goes, "Geez." And then he'd come over and give me the pinch. I was at a restaurant one time, and all these trendy ones in LA where literally everyone's there. You're like, look over, and there's like Motley Crue, everybody. And my agent says, Don Rickles is sitting over there. So I said, "Oh fuck, you got to go say hi, right?" So I'm like, no, he had like 12 people at his table, and he just, he's just sitting there at the end of the table. So I'm like, fuck. So I walk over. I said, "Hey, Don, I don't want to bother you." And he right away, he's already like,
geared up.
Already just went, You want to bother me? Well, that's too late. And I said, "No, I just wanted to say hi." And what else? I said, "I just wanted to, if you remember doing that movie with me." "I have tried to forget everything you and I have ever done. Now get away from me." I swear to God. And I swear to God, the whole table is just looking. And I said, "Well, enjoy. Now you can go away." And then he said, Come here.
Now.
It's Carrot Top. We were in a movie together, apparently. I don't remember shit. But what movie was it? It was The Godfather. I said, "No, it was Dennis the Menace." "I was not in Dennis the Menace." You were in. Yes, you were. Yeah.
He's so great, man. Apparently,
So quick.
There's a story about him with Frank Sinatra, and Sinatra was in a really bad mood, and they didn't have his wine or something, and he took the ketchup and just threw it against the wall. Don was eating, and there's the whole table, and he was kind of a pill, and he throws the ketchup against the wall and just splatters like that, and everybody's like, "Jesus, he's in a mood." And without missing a beat, Don goes, "Frank, could you pass the ketchup, please?" He was just.
I thought he was going to take it off the wall.
Yeah, he may as well, right? Yeah, yeah. He
so
was.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Rickles, one of a kind. There's another. There's a style of comics you always wonder: is there going to be another Rickles?
Well, Kevin Nealon to me is another one who's. Do you know Kevin?
Nealon?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's one of the funniest fuckers on the planet
no,
ever.
absolutely.
Dude,
Brilliant.
people I was standing outside the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach recently, and he had just done a show, and I just found out he was there, so I went in and say hi. And we're standing outside talking, catching up, and this guy comes up, and he was like, he just wanted to say hi, and he goes, so he goes, "Hey, I was at the show, and Kevin goes, "I know, I was looking for you the whole time, but I couldn't find you." And the guy's like, "Oh," he didn't know what to do. And then these people come by and they go, "Kevin Nealon," and he goes, "We were just talking about you, man." Like he's always got a great.
He's so quick.
He's always funny.
Yeah.
Always. Funny.
No, always.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah,
and Bob Saget was the same way.
Yeah.
Saget was the fun. Saget, I saw him probably 2 weeks before he died. So tragic, but he was such a great guy, and he was wearing his mask. It was during COVID, and so I'm going to the bathroom, and I go, "Bob," I see he's in the front row, and I go, "Bob," and he goes, "Brian, what's up?" I go, "Nothing, talking." He goes, "Where are you sitting?" And I go, "I'm right there." And he goes, "Where?" I go, "8A," and he goes, "Coach?" And I was like, "Yeah, I had to get the flight in a hurry." And he goes, "You're sitting in coach?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, then I won." You're such a piece of shit. He was so great, man. Some people are just funny all the time.
Yeah, Saget was funny.
Yeah.
And Neil, like you said, yeah, he's just a funny guy.
Nealon is literally like one of the great. He's a legend, man. I mean, he's always funny, and he can't help himself.
Yeah, true.
I did.
Shanling was like that with me.
Really? I only met him a couple times, Shanling.
Yeah.
He always seemed so.
Well,
he always made me sad because he always seemed so
sad.
fucking.
He was sad.
He was, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't connected to anything. He was always like, I don't know. He just looked really tight all the time.
Well, what I meant was not. Shanling was always funny to me in every set that I ever saw him do. When I knew him and talked to him in places, he was the opposite. He was just very depressed and very.
Yes.
But he was always so nice to me, and he always just would say, you know, what's the newest prop, you know, and he just was so genuinely. But you see him on stage. I mean, it made me laugh. I never would not laugh at him. He just was like Nealon, just a funny cadence. Well, it's all about a cadence.
Look
right?
at Larry Sanders. I mean, look at that show. He was
brilliant.
just like, you know.
And he hated it.
He did?
Well, they'll watch the whole documentary on it, where he hated it. He wanted to get out of it.
The problem is the lack of perspective. Brando had that. Brando had such disdain for acting, but Brando was such an amazing actor. He was such an original. He broke the mold. Like Brando came about acting when you were an actor, you went to theater school and you learned how to speak this way and you were always standing a certain way and you were gesturing and everything was very stylized. That's why if you watch Katharine Hepburn, she spoke this way. She wasn't English, of course, but she spoke this way and there was a certain way to speak. You learned the Skinner technique, you know.
So you never went to acting school?
I sure did. Yes, I did. You can tell.
After that, I was thinking maybe you hadn't been.
You can tell how trained I am, and my posture and the way I express myself. And Brando was like, I don't want to do that shit, man. I want to talk the way people really talk. I think he grew up in Nebraska. And he's like, I just want to talk. You know, I'm going to talk the way I grew up around real people.
Right.
So it didn't make sense for him to do that.
Right.
Like there's a famous story with Stella Adler. He was in class. And he do these fucking weird acting exercises. You're a young actor, and the teacher says, "All right, I want everybody to be hens in a chicken coop right before a nuclear bomb hits the chicken coop." So everybody is on the ground going bok 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 bok, and they're squatting, they're bok bok, and Brando is just sitting there. He's not even moving. And at the end of the Stella Adler said, she goes, "What were you doing? Why didn't you participate?" He goes, "I did. I was participating." And she said, "Well, what were you doing?" He goes, "I was laying an egg." And she said, "But a bomb is about to hit." And he said, "What does a chicken know about nuclear fusion?"
It's good.
You can't win, bro.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, but he had
I was laying an egg.
Yeah. He was such a brilliant human being but hated acting because he felt like it was a frivolous, silly thing to do in a world that was coming apart, you know? And you know, he couldn't take when Elia Kazan came for him to do I think a movie Martin Luther King had been assassinated that week or the day before, and he fell down on the ground and started crying because he just couldn't take the world. He refused his Oscar because of the way we were treating the Native Americans. And it's like, Brando, you could have made a huge difference doing what you were put on the earth to do. That's another person's fight. It's okay to have compassion, but put it in your fucking acting.
Right.
Put it in your storytelling. Like that's when somebody told me that one time. I was young and I was trying to be I was trying to be my dad. I was trying to be a Marine. I was trying to be big and strong. I just wasn't that guy. And a woman said to me, "Bryan, you know, you have to stop trying to be this sort of pigeonholed notion of what you think masculinity is. Right. Like, you're not that guy."
We definitely went the other route, which is good.
I did go the other route. Thank you for picking up on that. She was like, "You're a clown. Be like Carrot Top." And I was like, "I will. I'm not going to do that to my hair, though."
Who needs it?
Who fucking needs it? Well,
my estrogen shots. I don't know what it even means. I was in the crowd. I don't even do crowd work. I just go in and shake people's hand just for one quick second to say hi. And used to be I'd give people shots of Crown or something. But anyway, these girls were having so much fun, and I said something. Oh, give my son advice. So I said, I don't remember. I think I said, you know, don't comb your hair or something. And this girl right there next to me, I want to give you advice. And she goes, estrogen shots. And I said, what? And she says, estrogen shots. And I was like, You take him or I need to take him? It didn't make any sense. So the whole rest of the show, I kept saying, and then estrogen shot later, and people were just like, it worked, but what the fuck did that mean? I don't know what that meant. Like, I'm supposed to take estrogen shots? Or she's taking estrogen shots.
She wants you to transition or something.
Maybe she wanted me to transition.
You know what I
or maybe
mean?
she thought I did transition. I always like that. There's a comic that always says that. He always says that. People think, well, what's his name used to say that? He was great. Patton Oswalt. When his opening line, his opening line
gay
was,
lesbian, or
yeah,
I'm a lesbian.
I know what you're thinking. I'm a gay lesbian or whatever. Fucking killed.
Yeah, Patton was. I worked with Patton on Mad TV, and he was just always hilarious.
Yeah, man, Patton's a funny guy.
Such a good guy. So what are you going to do now? Are you going to get ready for the show?
I'm gonna go find a dumpster and do some smack. And
That's
then,
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Did you ever do any drugs or drink?
No, I drink still, but not like
Not a lot.
No, I'll have a little social drink, but I never did a lot of drug. I never did. I don't know why. I never got into the drug scene, which is right. We're in show business. We're in the easiest job to get into. But I mean, what I mean. It's the easiest job to get into it because it's
Especially Vegas.
It's always there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, there's coke, there's parties, there's girls, there's this.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing Trump. There's all these. I never did.
Coke.
I never did. I never did
it.
I made drugs, but I never did them.
I made them. I never.
But no, I never. I just didn't. Don't know why.
I never.
I wanted to work out. I wanted to. I
just
swam.
didn't
I
feel good.
wrestled, and as a kid,
Did you wrestle?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
just for like a not like
Light wrestling.
like a high school wrestling.
Right.
I weighed 108 pounds. I was the slowest division, but I never lost a match. But I never got pinned, which is weird. Like they all were like, Scott, you're gonna get us like 1 point because I wouldn't get pinned, but I'd lose. But
You would lose.
I wouldn't.
So you never won a match.
Never won one. No, but I never got pinned. I fought it the whole way. I was almost fucking.
Just stay off my back.
But I hated it. I hated all that shit. And then
I was a
then I got in
wrestler,
a marching band, and that was more.
Oh, really?
More a drummer. So I was like, this is more of, like you said earlier, trying to find your path. So my brother's a swimmer, went to the Air Force Academy. My dad was at NASA. So normally everyone young probably tries to follow that path. There was some path close to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I went to the drums, and that's when I found my, I'm show business. I'm playing drums.
Do your family members come to your shows?
Yeah.
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 Love it.
I make them pay, but they come.
Damn right
they come.
they do.
No, Mom just came not too long. My brother comes all the time. My brother's name's Garrett, so I call him Garrett Top. And thank you. But we have some good news. My dad really did work at NASA, but it's funnier in the context of not this because the big video wall behind me. But I'll say my dad worked at NASA and trained astronauts like Neil Armstrong and John Glenn and Katy Perry, and then it gets this big big huge, and then he shows the pictures of him, and then I'm trying to get Ron White to do the voice for this.
Yeah.
Right now, my crew guy did it, but I want to get Ron White's voice doing it because I said, if my dad was alive, you could hear him right now. What the fuck? And that would be a perfect Ron White, right?
100%,
So I'm gonna call him and say, you don't have to just do it in your phone. I don't need to. Don't overthink it. Just do what the fuck.
You could actually get Roseanne to do it. It might be fun.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, my mom, my dad.
Fuck?
My dad sounds like Roseanne, but anyway. That's
funny too, though.
That's a good joke.
Well, we used to do because Chris Angel was at my hotel, the same hotel I worked at. So his show and my show were, he was there. So I would give so much grief. And this is a good thing of like comedy that you'll understand. So I had a phone on the stage, almost like a Carson with like phone, but it would ring and it would say incoming call, and what the fuck, it said Chris Angel on it. So I'm like, fuck. I'd say hello, and one of my crew guys was like, hey, I'd make all these jokes about him, and then he was calling like he's listening. He's like, hey, what the fuck, man? Why are you making these jokes about me? I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. And I'm serious. I thought we were friends, and it would kill. Knowing that, of course, it's not him calling me, but so Chris Angel comes to the show, and I'm like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, well, do the goddamn bit. But he's in the crowd, so then I do the bit, and after the show, he comes up and he's like, why don't you just have me do the voice? That's great. And I'm like, but that's what makes it funny. Yeah. It's not fucking. It's like Elmer Fudd. Like, why are you making fun of me, man? It's not funny. So he insisted. So I go to his studio, and we do all this, and he does the thing. We put in the show. Never worked.
It never works.
No, it's not funny if it's him. It's got to be not him.
I didn't know he had a lisp, by the
joke.
way. That's news to me.
It's what?
I didn't know he had a lisp.
Oh, yeah, well, just like not like a Jay Leno. Like, hey, no, Chris is more like he's got like a little.
He seems like a good guy.
He's a very good guy.
Yeah.
And smart as that. He's smart as shit.
bet he is.
Hard worker. He's a
Yeah.
good friend of mine. But I just told him, I said, Chris, it doesn't. The comedy in that part it's not you.
Yeah.
But I want to be the voice. You know, it's not going to be funny. I mean, you know, Ron White saying "What the fuck" when probably people will know it's Tim's voice too. Probably.
Is he still doing his show?
Chris? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's at the Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. Well, this has been good, buddy.
Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
man.
it. It's great to meet you finally.
Thank you.
You know, I fanboyed about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago on Gold's. And, you know, when we were training, that's why we look this way, you guys. For workout tips, go to bryancallen.com.
That's right.
And I'm going to be, there you go. There it is. I'm going to be, just go to my, I don't know when this is coming out, but just go to bryancallen.com for my dates. And
Yeah, appreciate that.
that was fun, Scott.
It was a lot of fun.
I call him Scott. You guys call him Carrot Top, but I call him Scott because we're close now. And
My crew is not allowed to make eye contact with me.
I didn't know that. You're so mean. I like it. I can't wait to run my fingers through
And
your
let
hair.
you love that when you hear those stories though. Isn't that
I
great?
never had that.
No, but you never heard even
well,
someone tell you
I
that?
did
Like,
the
you know you
Joker.
can't look at Barry Manilow when you go meet him, right?
That's so fucking.
I'm like, well, how do you do a meet and greet?
I don't
You can't
think
look
they
at him.
wouldn't say that to you.
Right.
Sometimes they say that to extras for liability purposes, right? So, like, they'll say, like, if you're an extra on a show, it's just for liability. It's 1,000 things can go wrong when you start talking to to the star. He's trying to work. He doesn't need to be, because then he's going to try to be nice, and
right.
it's distracting. But I did that. I did the Joker, and I was with Joaquin Phoenix in the same room for like 5 days, and that guy was so intense and so into the role that I swear to God, he didn't look at me or he didn't look at me once.
Yeah, that would make sense because that was in crazy.
Fuck, dude, he was so into the character. I was like, I could never do that. That's why I'll never be an actor on that level. That's a whole different form. It's literally a form of masochism. Like he lost 60 pounds for that role.
No, it's unbelievable. And they talked about it after those interview because he like, how do you even do that? They get so engrossed in that. The actors that lose all the weight. What's the other one? Christian Bale that lost.
He's incredible too. Like Christian Bale's just.
I mean, my God.
Did you see him? I just rewatched American Psycho.
I just said that the other night. I just said that last night.
Really?
I was talking to some guy and he said Christian Bale. I said, just last night. I said, American Psycho. And the guy's like, that? And I said, when he's looking in the mirror, he's like, fuck, I'm hot. And it's such a great movie.
Incredible.
It's just so intense, man.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's just great.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's so talented.
Yeah.
He's been acting. He was in the Royal Shakespeare Academy. He was in Henry V when what the fuck is his name? Who played Henry V? I mean, he literally was. He was in Henry V in 1988.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was a little boy. Then he starred in Empire of the Sun, Steven Spielberg's movie with John Malkovich, and he was incredible in that. He's like this kid. This guy is
he's the real deal.
a whole different thing. He's like the Bryan Callen of acting.
Nice. I would say that.
Thank you. I should really say the Carrot Top of comedy. Well, thank you for your color, for your originality,
Thank you, Bubby.
and for taking all this time.
Thank you for
And I
having
can't wait
me.
to see your show. I'm going to get your number. I'm going to call you when I'm in Vegas. I'm not
appreciate
paying for tickets.
You can definitely call me. We
not
look
paying.
good behind these plants, by the way.
I know we do. I know. I like that. I like to have some foliage behind my guests and myself because it looks a little bit like we have angel wings, but they're made of.
It's like we're at the Pottery Barn.
Yeah. By the way, we're renting the studio. My studio is being built.
We're at West Elm.
We're at West Elm in a corner, and
Yeah, the people in here shopping are getting a little weird.
They're a little weird.
Looking over what the fuck are those two guys doing?
well, I hope you're ready for stardom because this podcast is going to blow you
Nice.
the fuck up. You're going to get you're going to be blown higher than Katy Perry was. See how I brought that back?
Yeah.
All right, guys, this has been Off Limits. Carrot Top, God bless.
God bless you.
Challenge your ideas and could be considered off